In brightest day, in blackest night, all other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellow scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation. Chad and Mark face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the
Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Bokelman.
I'm Mark Marble.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 223.
LanternCast quarterly number 2.
Barely fitting it in the second quarter, but at least we're on target.
That's right. I think, sometimes some of these episodes we kind of want, for the Green Lantern 75th anniversary, we want them to be very celebratory of Green Lantern history, and it's kind of twofold. We wanted to do this episode because we said we'd do this once a quarter randomly, so like Mark said, just under the wire. And plus, what better way to celebrate Green Lantern's history than with essentially a book about the history of Green Lantern?
And of course, the main story, the biggest story, featuring Alan Scott, of course, who's technically is the 75th anniversary boy. That's
right. We wanted to get just a quick note. Me and Mark just talked about it off air. Just a quick note. Sorry this is a little bit late, guys. Had some personal stuff go on in terms of my housing situation after I'm out of the apartment I'm in right now. Everything kind of collapsed on me last minute, so I had a lot of things to take care of, and I still do. But at the time we had set to record this episode, that was the same day everything came crashing down around me. So I was kind of in full-on panic mode, no time or mental capacity to actually record. So I apologize that this is a little bit late, but hey, we're getting it to you.
And plus, you had no Wi-Fi signal when you were living in a van down by the river.
In a van, Circa de Rio. Oh, fat guy in a little coat. Anyways, this is Green Lantern Corps Quarterly, issue number 2. It features an awesome cover. Not quite sure who the cover artist. Dusty Abel and Terry Austin on the cover here. Featuring Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Battle of Wills across the front. It says, also in this issue, Nort meets the Black Hole in the Wall gang, plus the history of Sector 2814, and much more. But Mark, you're going to go ahead and get us started on the first stories, right?
I will do my best. So we'll see what we get out of this, folks. We make no promises, and again, this is we're both doing this digitally, right?
Yes, I am. You're looking at JPEGs. I'm looking at a CBR file. Yes.
So I'm getting a little more used to this now, so I don't think it really makes much of a difference. But I'm still putting the disclaimer on about how if there's any delay from page to page, or it's usually because it's having to zoom in and other things. So the title page is the Book of Answers. And Gerard Jones is the writer, M.D. Bright the penciler, Romeo Tanga is the inker, and as you mentioned, Dusty Abel and Terry Austin did the cover. We have Hal coming before the Guardians, or just basically the Guardians' floating heads, which I kind of like because almost all the Guardians on the left look like they have a combination of Albert Einstein and porn star mustaches, even though it's just a shadow of their lips, but... But it definitely looks like a mustache on some of those guys, doesn't it?
Watch it.
So Hal's before the Guardians, and he's basically bringing a defeated evil star, before them, saying, they were in a science cell once, he was, and it held him. Hopefully, it'll hold it again. And he's basically there looking for a hint because he's trying to get a whole bunch of other criminals escape from science cells, because we know that's never happened before or after. And he's asking, it happened in Green Lantern 28, and he's asking for, can you kind of point me in the direction of where the other criminals are? And the Guardians pretty much flip him the bird, and it kind of throws Hal off, and it's like, you won't even help me to look for them? And it goes, it may be that we've already found them, but either way, it's like, our omniscient abilities, we try to use them sparingly and other Guardian crap. And he goes, and the Guardians just go to Hal, it's like, you would understand us, Hal Jordan, then serve us and learn. Or find new masters. What's really interesting about all these quarterlies so far is in a lot of ways they're just here to, seemingly, it's like a big ad for other titles.
Mm-hmm. Especially this one.
Yes, but last one I don't think there was much different last one, because I think they were pushing the Guy Gardner solo book, and they were pushing Mosaic in that one too, besides Green Lantern. So basically the Guardians are talking about finding new masters, and that's referring to the Dark Stars created by the Controllers. So
on sale next month.
That's right. Well, as Chad mentioned, one of many product placements for Green Lantern issues and series that are going on.
Actually, the second one. The first one being Green Lantern 28.
Yeah, Green Lantern 28. That's right. But at least that's not like pushing a brand new series or anything. So Hal just steps up and he goes, "No, hey, I have no intention of leaving, and just like I guess you have no intention of answering my questions." And the Guardians just, they just kind of flip Hal the bird and says, "Go Hal Jordan, your task is completed and your audience is done." And of course Hal's like, "And a good day to you too, masters, you blue bastards." So Hal flies off, not really happy, and kind of something which, as we know, in many ways pays off down the road, with Hal just thinking to himself, if it wasn't for my sense of duty and my loyalty to the Corps, that's about the only thing that's keeping me here. Certainly not the Guardians. So Hal needs some inspiration, so he flies off to the Book of Oa, which, of course, we saw everything revolves around that in the Corps Quarterly. We saw that in the first issue that we reviewed. So Hal shows up to find John Stewart, of all people, there, too, and he's in meditation mode. Hal, of course, comes and interrupts. "Hey, John, you're looking for tips on how to make a better mosaic?" Product placement, what was that, number 3? Even though they don't give you an issue number then, but that's coming up in a second. So John Stewart, kind of like his concentration is broken, and he goes, "Just looking for some answers, Hal." And he says, "Oh, by the way, have you heard that Chip died?" Just kind of comes out randomly. Chip died. He's like, how? He was I was out of control, Hal. I was possessed by the soul of Sinestro. Which is kind of funny. It's almost like a parallax before parallax situation.
That's 2 panels. See Green Lantern Mosaic number 2. Next, see Green Lantern Mosaic number 3.
And in a second, see Green Lantern Mosaic number 4.
But I love how they have fun with it later on. They're like, listen, you really just should
guys,
be reading. Yeah. You really should just go read Mosaic.
So, and of course, kind of like a turnabout is fair play, foreshadowing. Hal confronts John and goes, how do I know that? How do I know you're seeing things straight now? It's like you said that mosaic stuff is weird and crazy, and it's like you sit up there all alone. It goes, and John doesn't help his cause by going, "I'm not all alone, Hal. I'm part of a community, and I even sit up there with 4 kids who I've given power rings to." And this is the aforementioned, "Listen, you really should be reading Green Lantern Mosaic. This is from number 4. You gotta love it. So the whole idea of kids having power rings just pisses off Hal. And he goes, "John, I want you to be a great Green Lantern. I've always looked out for you, even when you were crippled by guilt." And John says, "Hey, I don't have any guilt anymore, Hal. I don't need you looking out for me anymore. I'm finding my own way to be a Green Lantern on my own world." And basically, isn't that why we're both here at the Book of Oa, to both learn how to be better Green Lanterns? So he goes, "Let's learn," and he creates a emerald hand that turns the page. So that begins our first story, which is an Alan Scott story.
Woo!
Woo! Birthday boy.
Impossibly huge cape is impossible.
And the title is Where There's a Will. Roger Stern is the writer. Dusty Abel, who did the cover, is the penciler. and Steve Mitchell's the inker. And we see a little scene from a flashback somewhere in the 1940s, and Alan Scott's flying around, and they're kind of, and people are like looking up in the air, and they're all happy, and basically what we find out on the next page is this is from this is kind of funny. It's like as they kind of mentioned themselves, it's like between him and when Alan's talking to his wife Molly there, it's like you know you're old when PBS is doing a retrospective on you, or you show up in one. So what happens is this is just footage from a retrospective on Alan Scott in the 1940s, and it's Alan, his wife Molly, and Jade, and Todd, otherwise known as Obsidian. They're all sitting around, basically having family time. And basically, we get a few moments of flashback time with Molly's days as Harlequin, and just mentioning how Alan Scott continued being a hero after World War II ended and all this stuff. And
just by the way, guys, that's Harlequin, not Harley Quinn.
Yes, Harlequin, not Harley Quinn. We get a nice little excuse to bring in Solomon Grundy, of course, which with Jade going, I know how brutal he can be, but I kind of felt sorry for him. He was kind of like a child. And Alan Scott's like a child, yes, but not at all like you. It's like you and Todd grew into fine young people, which of course might be true for Jade back in the day for the most part. But Obsidian was kind of shaky, or became shaky. But Alan's little thought bubble there about how great his kids turned out to be kind of grew into a little. Seeing Jade and Obsidian in their uniforms at the time, and they still continue with showing scenes from Alan's past, but as a member of the Justice Society, fighting Icicle, who kind of looks like the Green Goblin there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He kind of, especially the way his just a little bit about his ears and the way the hat's kind of flipped over on its side. It kind of looks almost like Green Goblin-esque. While this is going on, we see someone else who is watching this little retrospective, sitting in a room all by himself, and it's our old friend Hector Hammond, who is not gigandally, and all these other made-up words to say huge. His head hasn't quite gotten to that point yet, but he's still got a big noggin on him, but not like in current continuity. The last time we saw him, so basically he's getting upset about this because he just hates. He's another one who's because of his own dealings with Hal and Green Lanterns in general. He doesn't want to hear about praises of any Green Lantern, even the first generation one. And this continues basically his quest for like a power ring, which we find out. And we see a little again with Alan Scott. We find out about his kind of like his sidekick, and we see Charles Doiby Dickles is mentioned in this issue, and that becomes important because we find out now watching a news broadcast that what are we supposed to take? That's like jumps ahead in time, right? Yeah, because it's not the same scene anymore. That shortly thereafter, the time of them watching this PBS retrospective, like a day or so later, they were Doiby Dickles' death is reported, and that just here's another plug for Green Lantern 19 that Molly goes, oh my god, I just saw him a few weeks ago. It doesn't seem possible, and Alan doesn't quite want to believe it, and a little bit more than that, I think Alan has a feeling that something about this doesn't sound right. So Alan basically goes, I got to get to the bottom of this. And he goes into his study, and he finds his Green Lantern battery, and he says his oath, and he powers up his ring. And Alan goes off to try to find what exactly is going on. So he basically shows up at the coroner's office because he needs, for peace of mind, to confirm that the body really in the drawer is Doiby. And he opens it up, and unfortunately, yes, and it appears that it is. And Alan says, he will be avenged. And we get a nice little panel of Alan wearing an incredibly wrong Green Lantern ring. Wrong for Alan. If it was Hal or somebody else, you could, but it's not a Green Lantern. he's wearing a core ring. Let's put it that way, not his uniquely shaped lantern ring. But as soon as he says about I swear I won't rest until, at that moment his ring starts acting funky, and his ring basically starts being taken over by an outside force and is trying to fight him. And Alan Scott kind of like, he fights it with all his willpower, but he kind of wakes up, and he's kind of like floating in almost like an ethereal plane kind of place, or that's the way it's kind of drawn. And he gets, someone's talking to him. He doesn't know who it is, and of course Hector Hammond, back in his original normal look, shows up talking to. I like this part. I am Hector Hammond. You may call me Mr. Hammond. What an arrogant douche. It's like, I've had quite a bit of experience battling your successors, the younger, more able Green Lanterns. I would have been able to, I would have overcome them long ago if not for their power rings, which is like, no shit, right? When you really think about it, of course, you'd be able to overcome almost every superhero if they didn't have their powers, potentially. But now you see Hector basically supposedly wearing Alan's Green Lantern ring, and he starts wielding the energy, and he basically says, "I'm gonna, I'll try not to make this too painful for you, old man, as I finish you off." And of course he starts taunting Alan. It's like, whatever possessed you to come out of retirement? Were you so desperate to regain the thrills of youth? Yada yada yada. And as he tries to basically vanquish and kill Alan, Alan fights him. It's like, nobody takes my ring without a fight. This is basically it's a battle. It's a battle and a matter of will, isn't it, Mr. Hammond? And Alan Scott, turns the tables on him. He's able to get the ring back on his finger, and he basically does the old, "Oh, I was just playing possum" routine, just to basically to feed Hector Hammond's ego. Then Alan kind of reveals, "Why, I know about you too, because Hal and the younger Lanterns pretty much filled me in on who the hell you were." So we see Hector Hammond in his misshapen current state, as in current at the time of this issue, the way he looked with his slightly oversized head, and his growing baldness, which Alan Scott's the first one to. When they're fighting, he kind of makes fun of him there. It's like, at least I've kept most of my hair. Like, oh, that Alan Scott, kick a man when he's down. But Hector Hammond keeps fighting Alan because he's basically is starting to use with his mental abilities. He's still able to usurp and siphon off some of Alan Scott's ring energy and use it against him. So they have this big splash page, which is pretty cool, which is Alan Scott. I like the close-ups of their face there. That's a pretty cool panel. It's really nicely drawn. And Alan Scott and Hector go at it, and Alan says, "I don't care how strong your mind is. The ring recognizes me. Mine is the will it obeys, and I'm cutting your power off." And at that moment, Alan Scott basically, boom, he returns back to the coroner's office. He looks down at the slab, and we find out that it really wasn't Doiby there at all. It's Hector, and he created this basically this holographic projector, which supposedly was able to make him look like Doiby. I'm not quite sure how cool that is. I mean, how it's cool, but I don't know how believable it really is. It seems kind of convenient. And then, after the fact, Alan, he wraps up the story with Jade and Molly and Todd again, talking about filling in the gaps of what just happened. What he went through with Hector, and Alan throws out, "Hey, where there's a will, there's a way." And then Jenny throws in what's a better moral for the story? Never underestimate a crafty old tiger. And of course, they had shown a tiger a few panels earlier using the holographic machine of Hector Hammond, the projector.
No, they're at the zoo.
Are they at the zoo?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they are at the zoo. Duh, zoo. I'm sorry. So, so let's back that up for a second. So they're at the zoo and they see this, and they're looking down at the tigers, and that's when after Alan makes his little "where there's a will, there's a way" comment, and that's the reason Jenny says never underestimate a crafty old tiger, and that ends that story. Sorry
Jenny
about
with red lips freaks me out.
Yeah, it really doesn't work. So that's that story. Sorry about the butchered ending.
No worries. I kind of thought for a minute that this was because I didn't know that this was Hector until Hector himself showed up.
I thought it was when I saw the cover, but at first I thought maybe it kind of almost could be Sinestro, but you look at the head, it's like, no, it's not quite shaped right. So it's like I was hoping it was Hector. Let's put it that way. When I got into the story, I was hoping it was going to be Hector.
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to the background of the story. I was more looking at this page right here, where this guy, you only see his eyes, and he's in the chair and everything. It says, to the criminal mastermind known as the Wizard. And then it cuts to this. So I thought this was the Wizard.
Right. Yeah. You could obviously, yeah. If you're reading it, you could actually take it that way until you realize it's just more narration that's actually continuing as soon as, it cuts over to the next part of the panel with the recent return of Green Lantern, along with blah blah blah. So that's when you realize that it's just more the narration of the documentary, and which is feeding Hector's pseudo rage there.
I like the black and white panels, especially the one with Alan and Harlequin.
Yes, I like those flashbacks too.
Those are really well done. And if you notice in the screens in Hector's house or whatever, some of those images right there are actually just miniaturized versions of what you see in the other black and white panels.
Yes, that is true. Yep,
so that's
true.
Pretty cool. Really like the more close-up, detailed shots of Alan. Like he looks fine as Green Lantern in some of the smaller panels, but in the bigger panel where you see a full body shot of him flying up as he's going to the coroner's office, that's a really good shot. Like you said, the picture of his face, that's really cool. I'll be using that as the background, one of the background images for this episode's album art. One glaring plot hole, though, at the very end. I don't have much to say about this storyline otherwise, but what happened to Hector? Like, that is clearly Hector. It's not a body double. Hector is a little paralyzed, so he somehow put himself in there. What happened to him afterwards? Did they just leave him in there? Did the cops come and get him? Did he go to an asylum? Did he did... they don't even say what happened to Hammond, like mentally. Did he put him in a coma or something with a mental attack? Like, is Hammond lying there awake, fully conscious, and able to strike, or is he?
I think we know he's not awake. His eyes definitely appear. They definitely appear closed on the second panel when Alan's talking about the holographic projector.
But you know what I mean. Like, they don't say anything about what happens to Hammond.
It's like, well, time to go. Put him on ice. I'm out of here. How about you just close that freezer door and we forget all about this?
All right. Anything else?
That was a fun story. It was good seeing Alan fight kind of a Hal villain. That was kind of cool.
For sure. All right, 2-minute warning?
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning by Mark Waid and Ty Templeton. Inks by Al Gordon. Colors by Anthony Tollin. We open on a planet called... we don't know. We're on a planet where an arboreal race... is an endangered species. It's actually a sentient tree people. Another sentient race on this planet periodically harvests the fruits of this arboreal race, which is essentially like one race eating another race's embryos. So I'm guessing this is like them getting eggs. And it's indifferent to the fact that these are sentient creatures. And it's marketed as an intergalactic delicacy. So the Guardians of the Universe see this problem and decide, well, let's send a rookie over there. So they send a rookie down there to take care of it. He promptly gets run over by the tractor thing, the automated tractor that's sent to do this.
The yellow tractor.
Yellow tractor. Somehow he survives this, where Chip couldn't. Run left, Chip. Um, so, anyways, he stands in the Juggernaut, which is the name of this thing. Stands in his way, gets run over by the yellow tractor into the yellow sand, pops up. That was his plan A, apparently, to stand in front of it and try and stop it. He is trying to figure out various ways to stop this thing, and it's not working. Because he goes, it's about 2 minutes from destroying the entire grove, and the ring pipes up and goes, 2 minutes. He said, that's right, 2. What do you mean 2 minutes? Ring bearer requested alarm notification at end of 24-hour charge period. 110 seconds until energy depletion. So his ring is about to run out.
Thanks for the warning.
So this whole story is a conversation between this guy and his ring, asking him what his ring is capable of doing, and the ring just saying, nope, can't do that. So his first move is to grab a boulder and throw it into the combine thing. It just chops that up and keeps going. He says, all right, well, let's then recharge. Impossible. The battery is currently buried beneath the sand, and the sand is yellow. He says, all right, what if I use the ring to fly to a different time zone and work from there? That'll give me a whole extra hour. Incorrect. 24 hours relative to the ring's reality will have passed. 60 seconds until depletion. He puts up a construct wall. That does nothing because it's a yellow tractor. He then throws out a suggestion that he should go 1 hour into the past. Ring says, nope, that's not going to work either. Reverse the time stream. Turn back time. Impossible. The resultant disturbance would imperil reality. Additionally, at this moment, your willpower is insufficient. Oh, that's it. Pick on me now. He says, I'm dying here. And the ring says, impossible. The ring protects its wearer from mortal harm. He's like, all right, well then create another fully charged ring. Impossible. Make yourself really, really big and really, really powerful. Impossible. Go steal the ring from the guy in the next sector. Impossible. 20 seconds, by the way. You give me 30 extra minutes now, and I'll give you a whole hour tomorrow. Impossible.
That's one of my favorite ones right there. It's like the whole wimpy hamburger thing. I'll gladly pay you Tuesday.
2 hours. Impossible. 10 seconds before depletion. Oh, I've got it. I'm going to take you off my finger and order you to self-destruct in an explosion of emerald energy. Impossible. Under no circumstances are Green Lanterns allowed to bring harm to their equipment. Subnote, the ring cannot be destroyed. 5, 4, 3, it is completely indestructible. 2, and that's when he says, you don't say, and then he throws his ring into the combine, and because it's completely indestructible, it blows up the machine. He celebrates, and of course, the ring is out of charge, so he has to find it himself amidst the wreckage of this explosion. And that's the end of that story.
I like when he's sitting there on the ground like, I'm talking to my fist. It's because he's so used to it. So used to talking to his ring hand. It's like he keeps looking down at his hand. What? Hey, I'm talking to my fist now because there's nothing on it. It was an amusing story.
I like the end. Here, boy, talk to me. Hey, I know. The first thing when I get you recharged, I'll create a rock too big for you to lift. Come on. Impossible. Say it for me, baby. Ring? Hello? Ring?
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
I like the look on his face. Those 2 panels right there as it's counting down from 5. It's completely indestructible. And then he looks at his ring like, oh, what'd you just say? Alrighty then.
Yep. Even though, of course, since then we know how Green Lantern rings seem to be all too destructible at times.
True.
But back in the day, and it's still against something yellow, so you still wonder if it really would have had that effect.
I wonder if it's yellow inside.
That is true too. That is another possibility. Or it could be like the whole school bus thing. Maybe there's something. Maybe there's a part underneath it that would actually wasn't yellow, so that could have been a port of entry. But the yellow sand was a problem. So at least that, as opposed to normal dirt, that was a potential stumbling block to just let's go into the ground.
You notice the closer he gets to the woods, you can see the tree's reaction behind him. They're all screaming.
Yeah, they're that's like they're almost giving him a high five after he blows the thing up.
Yeah,
Yeah, baby, you saved us.
That's funny.
That is kind of funny.
All right,
You're the best.
Waverly Sayer.
Yeah, Waverly Sayer.
Let's do it. The Lonely Man.
Daniel Boone lives. A lonely man. Or the lonely man. Gerard Jones, writer. Tim Hamilton, penciler. Gary Yap. That's a nice name. Inker. So we see a scene of a... Basically, it's in the West. So it gives you the impression. Guy's sitting there on a rock about to hunt. He's got his loyal dog by his side, which is kind of cool because that carries forward throughout the book. The narration goes about how it's a clean shot, the shot that he could always make before. And of course, now we see that he aims for a deer, and he misses the deer. He goes, now Waverly Sayer cannot make shots he made before, and as a month's venison bounds away, he cannot even care, nothing like before the loneliness. And then essentially we find out why he's lonely, that his wife and his daughter, correct?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it, he has a daughter, right?
Well, she's giving birth to...
right. But his wife, his wife dies during childbirth, and pretty much, that just destroys his world. They basically, they show them coming together, in a wagon, and he was defended the homestead and his family with courage. They show up, a bear attacking previously, but once his wife died, that pretty much just sucked the life out of him. You have a couple of people talking, from a distance, looking at Sayer's house, going, he rarely ever comes out anymore into the light. Since he buried the woman and the baby, he still hasn't cleared his land, hasn't raised a crop. A lonely man. Just one lantern for his company, burning late every night, like to keep the dreams away, burning until it's out. And when you see this lantern with tons of holes in it that's hanging outside his log cabin, Waverly wakes up in he wakes up in a cold sweat, crying out for Peg, for his wife, and then he sees basically an emerald image of Peg calling to him. It's like, come to us, come to us. And he's completely lost. It's like, how can I go to you? And she just basically is trying to get him to follow. And he goes, I will come, Peg. There's nothing here for me now. He starts loading his shotgun or his rifle, and he basically was about to kill himself, and he talks to the dog and goes, I won't take you with me. That isn't right. But I can't keep you in here with the door locked either, because there's without anyone to feed you. Basically you'll starve. So I'm just going to leave the door open, and you'll see what you have to do soon enough. And he puts the gun to his chin, and as he's just about to pull the trigger, the emerald image of Peg shows up again, cradling their baby. And she goes, no, Waverly, we said we wanted you to come to us. It's like, and he's completely lost. It's like, because obviously he thought she was calling to him from the great beyond, as in, kill yourself to come with us. And she goes, no, you'll be no use to anyone that way here. And he's completely lost by this. Then all of a sudden the Green Lantern ring flies onto his hand. She's like, use your will. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's like, I can just ask it to take me to where she went. And as soon as he says that, the ring starts creating basically like a shield around him and his dog, which is a nice touch. And they take them both, into space. I like when he's carrying the dog under his arm. That's pretty cool. Lantern in space with dog. His hound dog there. So the ring takes him to, the ring needed, as the narration goes, the ring needed will, and the will needed courage. And the courage pressed him on and on through the cold black void. And he arrives on this really, pretty weird looking planet with these. That's the one thing you have to say in both these issues so far. They have some really freaky looking alien worlds we've seen in both these issues of the core quarterly so far. Mm-hmm. Waverly doesn't know what's going on. It's like, I never thought I'd see this. in the place where Peg went. It's he basically just follows where he just lets the ring take him where he needs to go, and these relatively large-headed, almost like Easter Island-headed kind of aliens. It's like, you have come, you are the one. And of course, Waverly's, being from that time, it's like, you're devils. Where's Peg and the baby? And it's like, you must stop them. You must save us. It's like, I do not understand. He's saying, the alien saying, you've come to stop the invasion, haven't you? They have killed millions. They have killed Green Lantern. They have nearly taken the city. Use your ring. Make them go. And of course, Waverly doesn't have any idea at first what's going on. And then he just says, use my ring. And then he kind of, he leaps into action. I guess instinct takes over. It's like, Lord, guide my hand. Give me the strength to use this power truly. And we see him taking out, aliens after aliens. And he stops the invasion. It's like the aliens on the planet are thanking him. Thank you, Green Lantern. And of course, he's completely confused by that, by the time being called that title. And then all of a sudden we hear a thank you, Green Lantern, and a female voice. And of course, you think hitting his voice is still hidden in the shadows. And he thinks it's his wife. It's like, Peg. It's like, the alien comes out, and she's holding a baby of her own, and she goes, I do not know a Peg, Waverly Sayre. I am Satoon, widow of the Green Lantern of Laham of Sector 2814. As my husband fell, his ring reached across space to find one honest and fearless and able to make this sacrifice. It chose you. He's confused, and it's like, you heard my husband's final thoughts, Waverly. You showed courage in coming here. Now we have the courage to join us, to protect us, to take the mantle of Green Lantern. Now we cut back to Earth, and the same two people that were looking at Waverly's house before, talking about how lonely he was. Now they're surprised. It's like they're looking at his cabin and go, he doesn't even use good oil in his lantern. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, did you notice all of a sudden it's green? And Waverly Sayre is he's back in on a Green Lantern uniform in his cabin. He's giving he's feeding venison to his dog, and he's telling him, it's like you better hurry up because it's time for us to step out again and help our friends. He and the dog are about to leap into more Green Lantern hijinks, and that ends the story.
I want to hear more about the dog's adventures.
I know. Let the dog have a ring.
That's right. Well, they do later on.
Not can't ignore it. A real dog. I like that story.
Yeah, the art was kind of funky.
Yeah, the art was, but there were some panels that are pretty cool, like when he's like this, the second time he's saying use my ring, when he's kind of in shadows and the ring's lighting up and the green's kind of highlighting the stubble on his face, and kind of defeats the aliens too quick. It's a little too.
Oh, but this is definitely got to be the West, but it's not Texas, because this isn't Texas land or wildlife or foliage. So this has got to be in the northwest part of the country.
Yeah, I that's probably what my take on it was too. I figured it could be anywhere, like it could be anywhere Montana. That's a new one. Montana, Wyoming-ish.
Yeah.
So it was a nice story. It was I liked the way how they tie it into how when the ring was calling to him, basically to let him be the new ring bearer. How basically because the combination of the last message, or in a way of the current ring bearer, and the way and what the new ring bearer wants to see or was yearning for, and how they all kind of combined. So basically, it was he saw his wife and his kid calling him, which of course mirrored the now widowed wife and child of the current Green Lantern who was calling him. So it was kind of a nice, symmetry there.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
No, but it was a fun story though. I thought, again, like you said, the artwork is weird. The aliens are really weird looking, but I thought it was a pretty good story.
So, are there more Waverly Sayre stories somewhere else? I don't remember.
I think so.
All right. Well, moving on, we have a story for the ages.
Well, the next two are for the ages.
The Trouble with Yellow by Doug Mensch as the writer, Paul Gulacy as the artist, Bob Dvorak as the inks, Steve Matson as the colorist, and Albert de Guzman as the letterer. We see a Green Lantern hurling down out of the skies towards some robbers. A citizen, a little boy is a little creature, a young creature is watching this happen. The Green Lantern sends out some construct handcuffs. One of them shoots him away and escapes with some yellow energy. So he digs out the ground underneath him and puts a green energy construct of a cage on top, sealing him in the pit. They shoot out of that. So he just takes him out with brute force, and then the locals come and take him out. Well, Rimas is the name of this Green Lantern, and we see Rimas later on in the future during the Sinestro Corps War. So this is a lantern that's going to be around for a while. But Rimas is responsible for taking them out. This little creature asks him what's wrong with your power ring. So Rimas explains the impurity in the ring. He says, the impurity is ironically the very factor which gives the metal its miraculous powers and its ability to interact with consciousness and willpower. He says, there are some who say the Guardians and the Great Wisdom intentionally added the impurity, and he says, but you don't believe it. He says, I neither know nor care. I simply live with, it's simply a reality I live with. And in certain ways, I'm grateful for it since it prevents me from becoming complacent, forces me to be resourceful, to exert thought and effort, which kind of sounds like the writer's trying to explain the yellow weaknesses being, like people make fun of Aquaman. He just could do this. Well, Green Lantern's allergic to yellow. The writer's saying.
I just kicked his ass with a phone book, man.
So the writer's playing kind of a Green Lantern fan output here. And to which the kid responds, "That's crazy. It's a weakness that holds you back." So he says, "But without that weakness, I might fare much worse. Let me tell you about another Green Lantern on another world." So, Rimas and the child swallow some acid, and they start tripping hard because they come across this planet populated by intelligent beings that are basically insects called Krizaks. These are basically little ant-like creatures with very anthropomorphic, cartoony type faces and stuff. They basically exist to go in a single file line from tree to tree collecting fruit. They do that, and every now and then a body falls from the sky. They ask, well, what's that like? Why is your dead, flyer? They call the flying creatures, flying insects, flyer. Why'd your dead plummet on us like that? It's the doing of the horrible, hideous air clinger of doom who traps and devours all the foolish and unwary up there above the green canopy. The Krizaks, don't really care because there's not much they can do about it anyway. One of them says, "Hey, anybody seen Circle?" It's one of the Krizaks. And one of the older Krizaks says, "Probably sleeping off some fermented squish juice under a mushroom." So he's probably drunk, is what they're saying. All of a sudden, some of these cherry things fall from the sky and hit him in the head. They see Skrill, or whatever his name is. He's got a Green Lantern ring, and he's wearing a Green Lantern vest. Sweater vest.
Sweater vest. Yeah, it's so funny.
And he's chopping down these things with the construct. And they said, knock it off. You're hitting us with this. Well, forget it. We can get our own squish berries. You don't need to help us with this. Well, I'm a Green Lantern. How can I make your life better? I know. I'll fight crime. Crime? What crime? Squish berry theft? The trees want us to take their berries. It's how their seeds get bought. And then plop, there's another body of one of the flyers. So this Green Lantern's like, I'm going to take care of that. And he's just like, well, you're just a lonely Krizak. And he's like, what do you know? I've got power. I ain't worried about nothing now. And Remuz is now getting to the point of his story. This Krizak flies up to the top of the canopy, and it's a spider-like creature. He gets caught in its net, in its web, because it's a yellow web. He tries taking care of the spider and taking him out. He can't because it's a yellow spider. He's freaking out. He gets eaten, and Remuz says, but despite all of his vast emerald powers, Circle did get eaten. And I get the point, says the kid, but that ain't a true story. And Remuz says, actually, no, the Guardians in their great wisdom would never harm a fly or choose a Krizak. But we see a broken and decayed body of this Circle or whatever on the ground, leading me to believe that this was a true story, but Remuz just didn't want to freak out the kid.
The colors, man, the colors!
Such an acid trip of a story.
Yeah. The narrative like around this story I kind of liked. I liked the artwork for that part, and I liked the lesson he was trying to get across to the kid, and also just as you mentioned the way the writer through the Green Lantern in this story was using him to justify or explain why why having the yellow weakness is not necessarily a bad thing in the big picture. So I like that part, and yeah, it was the kind of like almost like Sesame Street kind of art faces on some of I don't know, some of that stuff just it was weird.
Someone with Jim Henson level ability, make us this Krizak. I want a Green Lantern Muppet Krizak.
You want a custom piece. You want some a commission of him and that dramatic pose raising his sword.
That's right. Oh man.
And his yellow sweater with no pants.
No pants. Who needs pants?
That's right. And the bottom part of himself is yellow too.
This thing looks kind of like a Bernstein bear. The kid.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
For those who remember, Remuz is the Lantern who later goes on in the Sinestro Corps War. He goes back to his planet, and his planet is the one that has been wiped out by Despotellis. If anybody remembers that.
Oh, Despotellis, what a bastard. And
he ends up getting killed by Despotellis as well. That's right? That's who Remuz is?
That sounds right.
That's what's immediately coming to mind when it said that name, so I'm fairly certain I'm right, but I can't look it up right now for fear of messing up the Skype connection. For some reason, guys, any internet use whatsoever outside of Skype seems to cause some sort of hiccup in in recording in terms of like a quick cutout or something of the audio. So I've just now. Before we record, I shut off the internet on my cell phone, I shut off the internet on my tablet, and I just record from the laptop and have no extra windows open whatsoever.
He sits in the closet.
That's right.
No light.
Yeah,
hoping everything just stays on perfectly for like an hour and a half.
So I can't research anything unless it's before we record. But speaking of great, amazing comedic stories, we've got a Nort story for you.
Oh, God. I'd rather Nort, and that's how I feel about this story. I'd rather Nort go through it, but written by Scott Lobdell, penciled by Joe James, inked by Andrew Papoy. The beginning is kind of cool, though. It's like, at the Asteroid Angus Finance and Loan Center, all these bankers are pretty much packing heat, trying to fight off somebody trying to rob them, apparently. And it's like, where's the Green Lantern we requisitioned? It's like, these intergalactic bank robbers have been at this since dawn. It's like, you think they'd be due for a coffee break, another one says, which is kind of funny. And it's like, then all of a sudden you hear like a wee-oo, wee-oo, and it's like the siren. It's the solar perimeter alarm that can only mean the Green Lantern we asked for is showing up. And this big green bubble crashes down onto the planet as one of the bankers looks up and goes, he wouldn't disappoint us. He wouldn't slow down, and then boom, incoming. And then of course, it's like now they're all happy. They're it's like, oh yeah, the Green Lantern we wanted is here. And then they look down to see who's in the who they got, and it's like, who the hell is that? And of course, we find out that it's Nort with his new trusty sidekick Sax Girl, who saved his butt in the last issue of Quarterly with Sax, with Sax. And of course, the bankers, they're all upset. It's like, we wanted Hal Jordan. It's like we specifically ordered the Green Lantern of Sector 2814 because they wanted Hal Jordan, and instead they got Nort. And that's a big drop off. Even though Nort tries to make them all feel better and goes, rest assured, gentle people, there's nothing Hal can do that I can't at least as well do, except only slower and different, unique even. It's like, we don't mean to slight your abilities. It's just that that in all the universe, only Hal Jordan has ever physically confronted the black hole in the wall gang. And of course, as soon as he says that, Nort looks like he just stained his Pampers over there. It's like, oh no. And of course, the Sax Girl's already, she's already ahead of the game, since she's obviously the bright one of the two. And now we see the black hole in the wall gang is about to attack. It's like, anyone still alive? Throw out all the money. That is, throw it all out to us. And we see Green Lantern show up. It's like, oh, it's him. It's Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. Except it's like a Hal Jordan body with a pseudo Hal Jordan face with like Nort hair and Nort ears. It's like, yeah. And Sax Girl's like trying to whisper to him. It's like, Nort, you forgot to have your ring disguise your ears. And of course, he's still all cocky, and he shows up, and it's like, you can surrender peacefully. Or alphabetically, I like that one. Or by age, I really don't care. Tallest to shortest, I don't care. It's like, the gang goes, I'm afraid it won't be that easy, Mr. Jordan. And another one's going, do you notice something different about this guy? It's like, it's his ears, sir. It's like, no, not that. It's something about his demeanor, too. And of course, that when he says ears, when the black hole gang member says ears, that's when Nort realizes, oh God, I forgot to disguise my ears. And it's like, Nort tries to bluff his way through, and the hole in the wall gang is like, perhaps you've forgotten the last vow I made when last we met, Hal Jordan. And of course, Nort, being Nort, goes, the one where you promised to write once a week. The one when you said you'd buy bonds and support the war effort? It's like, no. It's like, so the hole in the wall gang member smacks Nort right in the face. He's still looking, he's looking to take out Hal/Nort there. And he goes, have you had any sense at all? You'd roll over and play dead, he says to Nort, and he goes, you don't know the half of it. The hole in the wall gang pulls out their heavy artillery, and it's like, let's put this Green Lantern out of our misery. The bankers, they're all hiding here talking to Sax Girls, well, can Nort think of something? And she goes, well, maybe, and maybe the Pope will fly. And just as they're about to shoot, Nort creates energy, basically energy hands that stick fingers right in the barrel of all the weapons, which is funny. It's like, far to be from me to go pointing fingers, but it seems like you boys have a problem with your guns. That problem being me, which is kind of how Jordan-esque at Nort. And of course, the hole in the wall member says, you have kind of a point there. Hal Jordan is like, firearms are out. I guess I'll have to do with a psionic mace, and he proceeds to beat the crap out of Nort with the mace. He's moving in with a psionic blade to finish him. Sax Girl sees all this, and she goes running to save Nort, even if it's primarily on the surface, it's because he's my ride back to Earth. But just as the black hole in the wall gang member there is about to stab the Green Lantern. Then they see Nort's real self, because when he was hit hard, he dropped in on the verge of being killed. His will went down, so his energy lessened and his disguise fell. And now the gang members all look at him. It's like, oh my God, we don't have a chance. We knew his ears looked funny. It's like, we surrender, spare us. And of course, they all take off their helmets and they all kneel before him. And we find out that the whole gang members are cats. And because Nort's a dog, it's like, we'll do anything rather than face your canine might. They don't know cats very well, I guess. When they were writing this story.
Cats will bitch slap a dog with no second thought.
I know, they have no respect for it. And I love my cats, but they have no respect for anything, and they certainly wouldn't for a dog just because he's a dog.
Have you seen those videos, like the compilation video online of the dogs who won't come down the stairs because the cat's sitting right there?
And forgive us, people, but these are appropriate tangents almost. Or when you have the cat sleeping in the dog bed, and the dog is curled up in this teeny tiny cat bed because he won't go over to get the cat out of his own bed. Yeah, cats do tend to rule the roost when they live together. So the bankers are like, Nort, you're amazing. It's like, well, what I have to be sure, but keep it under your hat. And of course, Sax Squirrel's like, at the end, why do I feel there's going to be no living with him now? As Nort continues to sign autographs. Oh God. So should we you want to talk about that one before we do the wrap up, or?
There's not much to talk about. There's just a little background things, like one of the cat creatures before it takes off his armor is holding a gun up to the side of his head. Another one is crying. Can you see that?
Yeah. They're all funny, and the cats are kind of all different looking, and some of them are mangy looking, and it's like, even though one of them almost reminds me of like a Commandy-esque kind of character, or one of those cat-like creatures I had in Commandy, but it was, in a way, the twist kind of made the story worthwhile, and that's hard to say because most Nort stories are like, oh my God. But it was a funny story, but it was still, it makes you shake your head. But the last two stories didn't go out with a bang.
No, not really.
No, more like a thud. All right. So last page. So we have back to John and Hal, looking through the story basically we just saw in the Book of Oa. He goes, wow, it's my turn to be shocked. I can't believe Alan Scott's back. And here's another promo. See Armageddon Inferno number 4.
I love that friggin' panel. I love that friggin' panel because they're looking at the page of Nort.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
My turn to shock.
Yeah,
I can't believe Alan
Scott's
Scott's
set you up as my turn to be shocked. My God, Nort did something cool. It's like, no, we're only talking about the Alan Scott part. Who the hell cares about Nort? And then Hal's like, the entire Justice Society's back and they've already been doing a lot of good, but that's a story for another day. But it's not enough. But it's not a promo for another day because right underneath, asterisk, Justice Society of America every month. Oh, Lord. So John goes, you have a hand in everything, don't you, Hal? An answer for everything. You're dying to tell me how I should handle the mosaic. And Hal counters is like, you're dying to tell Rose just what she should do. Maybe you don't have, you don't want to give me the chance. And the Rose stuff, besides Mosaic, it certainly refers to the Hal series, the new, the Green Lantern series, Volume 3. So John flies off and goes, I want to give you every chance, Hal, every chance to see and hear what my world is like. Rose is expecting me. We'll talk it out over coffee. And Hal goes, fine, just as long as we remember what we saw here in the book. Remember that we're Green Lanterns, and for all our differences, that makes us one. And more promos. To see Hal and John talk it out over coffee. Pick up Green Lantern Mosaic number 5. So what was that, like 4 issues of Mosaic they pushed in one comic? 2 through 5? Yeah.
2, 3, 4, and 5.
And for more of the Green Lantern Corps, including a Charlie Vicker or whatever happened to, look us up in just 12 little weeks.
I think it's kind of odd that Hal has zero reaction to learning that there was another human Green Lantern even before Alan. Like
Yeah,
you could have given us a panel of him reacting.
I know, because in a way, the one thing that's been a constant addition or retcon in Green Lantern history is every time we think, whether it's related to Alan Scott or whether it's related to Hal, every time we think we know who the first human to wear a Green Lantern ring of any kind was, we always find out there's 800 different characters that had a version of a ring before. Oops. But it's okay.
For whatever reason, it reminds me of. I said this a long, long time ago on the podcast. I'm talking like before you and I took over. I said a long time ago, I read a Green Lantern story, and I can't remember where it was, that Green Lantern, like, the Guardians intentionally never picked anyone from Earth for one reason or another. Like, they thought they were too backwards or something like that. There was some Green Lantern story somewhere that had established that the reason Hal was the first human Green Lantern, official human Green Lantern in terms of, like, wearing a ring, not including Alan, was that the Guardians intentionally avoided sending rings to Earth because we were backwards, or something to that effect. I can't remember for the life of me where that was, but I know I read it somewhere. And the reason I bring it up now is because I remember, like, Jim or Dan, one of the two, had said something like, I think you're crazy, basically. Like, that has never happened once. But I swear to you, I remember reading or watching or hearing this story somewhere. Like, it could have been a graphic audio production or something, which I doubt because I've listened to that a billion times. It could be a novel. It could be on one of the animated series. It could be, like, I don't remember where, but there is a Green Lantern story out there somewhere that says that they intentionally avoided recruiting Green Lanterns from Earth. I can't remember it. And the reason I bring it up is because we keep learning about these other Green Lanterns from Earth, and it just drives me nuts because I swear to you I remember this story. So if anybody out there listening now remembers this, please write in LanternCast@gmail.com and tell me. Because I can't for the life of me remember it, and there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to go through every issue of Green Lantern and every piece of comics history that I own on Green Lantern and be able to tell you where it was.
And you're right about Remus there. You got that exactly right.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's how he that's how he died with Despotellus. So, yeah.
Some good stories. Not a lot of impact, though, in any of them, other than, I guess, the ramifications of there being another Earth Green Lantern. I do want to say, even though there's no real ramifications to any of these, I think that it's what's cool is seeing the Golden Age Green Lantern go up against the Silver Age villain.
Yeah, I thought that definitely was the highlight of the issue, I think.
The art definitely wasn't top-notch, at least in terms of my particular tastes, but I thought it was pretty good in terms of concept.
I agree.
All right, anything else you want to say about this particular issue? It's a little bit of a lackluster issue outside of the Allen thing.
Yeah, I'd say so. But it was a nice read. It was a quick read. There were some amusing and interesting parts in the. But whenever you have a kind of like an episodic, a compilation, an anthology kind of style of a book, it's almost, predetermined you're gonna have some stories that are not gonna be, that are gonna have much. They're not gonna. All stories basically are not gonna appeal to everyone. That's probably the best blanket to wrap everything in. That some stories are gonna appeal to, in some individuals more, and some are literally probably just gonna be hit or miss. That almost everybody will gravitate towards certain stories, and you might have a small band of interest in the others. And yeah, it wasn't horrible. There were some interesting things in it. So,
do you think we should take these with a little more research before we do them? And I have no problem discussing this on air. Like, how it keeps name dropping all these various issues. Do you think we should go and read some of these issues before we talk about it?
I thought you were going more along the lines of the characters. And
no, just because it keeps name dropping certain. Like, for instance, when it says that Dark Stars reference, it's referencing an issue that's not already out. But when it talks about picking up plot points from other stories, do you think we should read those before we go into this, or do you think that's just? I mean, honestly, I'm kind of worried that that's just too much to do for one issue.
Yeah, I think that I don't think we really need to do that.
Okay. Unless we're completely lost, and then we can just
I think in a lot of ways, certainly what we've seen through the first 2 issues of the quarterly is it's designed to draw in new readers, and it's designed to get new readers for the other books. What it's trying to be like a unifying force. That if you're reading Mosaic, you might be interested in reading the Green Lantern Quarterly. If you're reading Hal's book, all these things, even Justice Society. If you're reading Alan, you might want something a big tent that draws everything in. And then once they draw you in, they try to steer you off to try to make it like give you added incentive, if you will, to go read or take a look at some of the other Lantern books that are published at the same time. So it's I think we both kind of think it's a little like over the top or a little heavy-handed in the way that they've been doing it, especially having read the last 2 issues. And I like to think maybe somewhere as the series goes on towards its ultimate conclusion that it's not going to be as over the top or heavy-handed, but I don't know if I have a lot of faith that's going to be the case.
All right. Well, you want to close this out?
I will close us out. If you would like to contact us, please email us, LanternCast@gmail.com, LanternCast@gmail.com. Visit our website, LanternCast.com. Get our latest news, get our Ringcyclopedia episodes. We've been posting some. Actually, we've posted the first of the intro. It was the intro to the Dark Star review section, right? At the moment, yeah. So we're going to be having some, review other, if you will, Lantern-esque, books. Tie into other Lantern-esque concepts, and just as mentioned in this Green Lantern Corps quarterly, the Dark Stars basically were the controllers' version of the Green Lantern Corps. Ill-fated as it was, much like the controllers themselves, but still. But you can check out our website. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. Use hashtag GLCast to find us on all of them. We are on iTunes and Stitcher, and feel free to leave us positive reviews on one or both. And last but not least, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, and we haven't had one in a while, call us at 708-LANTERN, 708-LANTERN, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we haven't had an email or a voicemail in a while.
I know, it's pretty dry lately, so.
Yeah. All right, well, before we close out, guys, don't forget, Green Lantern 75th anniversary still going on right now. As of right now, everything we're releasing is going to bear the Green Lantern 75th anniversary hashtag, which is GL75TH, GL75th. Hashtag across the board, whether it's a simple issue review like this, which we explained why it is part of this crossover, this big celebration, or it'll be a bigger thing, like when we covered just last episode, when we covered Emerald Knights. Coming up in the future, I will not give a specific date, but coming up in the future, we will be doing The Power of Ion, not the 12-issue crappy Kyle Rayner thing. We're talking the first appearance of Ion. Thank God for finally doing it. And interview / conversation with someone important and connected to Green Lantern's history. How's that?
Good.
All right, guys. So we again, Green Lantern's 75th anniversary, especially on Twitter. The other posters have been very active over on Twitter. So make sure you search the hashtag, again, GL75th, and you will find all kinds of cool stuff. Oh, and before we go, DC has put out a logo for Green Lantern 75th, and they're doing a collection of Green Lantern stories that they'll be selling as well. And we've talked about that in the past, but they've also come out and they're going to be doing a Green Lantern 75th anniversary variant month. Month of September, right?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
Okay, so every single comic that's coming out from DC in their main lineup is going to feature a variant cover that features Green Lantern on it, and some of them look really cool. So definitely check those out. We have a link to some of those images over on our Facebook page. So find us on Facebook, and you'll be able to find that there. Or you can just do a Google search for Green Lantern 75th variant covers or something like that.
Nicely put.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.